Hey there YouTube, Steamtown Gamer here, and today I'm playing Sheltered. So this game came out in 2015, which is when I bought it. This game is just really fun and really addictive. So essentially the whole idea is to survive. The nuclear apocalypse has happened. Basically your family is inside this shelter, and the idea is to explore, expand, build, and overall just, survive the apocalypse. Not just to survive it though, to thrive in it, which is exactly what we're going to do. So I'm going to give a lot of tips and a lot of gameplay in this episode. First off, the pet. The pet really counts on what you do. The pet, I found the cat is the easiest one. It kills rats, it requires very little food, provides a small amount of stress reduction, which you don't really need until later on in the game. And you don't really have to care for that much. It actually lets you know when it's hungry. You've got a whole assortment of pets here. All these are new compared to the first time I played it, which you only had the cat and the dog. It's gone through a few different updates since I've had it, but I always go with the cat. It's just the easiest one. Oh, I have had all the pets though, and it's not ended well, unfortunately. So we're going to go into it now. I do not want to play the tutorial. I know how to play it. So basically ways that you can die in this game is obviously you can run out of food, you can run out of water. What we're going to do is we're going to, first off, it's going to rain shortly. Now you can't actually predict this game because it's just randomly generated. But it will always rain shortly, and that's why it's best to build a water bucket. This will collect rainwater, and rainwater allows you to explore. Basically, in order to explore, you have to have, water. That's how it determines how far and long you can go. So everything's just about upgradable. The workbench here, the generator, you've got the water filter here, as well as the oxygen filter as well, which you have to either upgrade or repair or just about anything. Of course, we have the camper van here, which the idea is that you would find parts for it throughout the game, and then we wouldn't use so much water. The first thing we're going to do, another thing we're going to do, is we're going to have to go ahead and build a mop and bucket. Put it just about anywhere. You can always rearrange everything, and you will be double handling just about everything in this game. So as you can see, there's wildlife. Here we go, rain. So as you can see in the top right hand corner, the little water jug thing is going up. What I'm going to tell is I'm going to tell one of these to clean up. Now, dirtiness is a factor. If it gets too dirty and people get too dirty for too long, they start to get sick. Another thing you may want to do is leave the children behind, because they can't carry as much, and it's much more traumatizing when they die. So I'd always just leave the children at home and let them do all the work around the shelter while the parents go off and explore. Because as they do work, they'll actually use energy, and therefore they will have to sleep, which then again also takes up time. So they will need a toilet, and for the first level, a toilet is just a bucket. It is just, well, it's pretty gross. You can speed up time by pressing the right trigger. I'm going to go ahead and feed this cat here. You can get one of the girls on this broadcasting station, broadcast for traders. Now, you can even have people come into the game and join your little family. However, they take up resources as well, so don't be afraid to tell people to basically fuck off until a bit later on in the game when you've got proper water and oxygen supplies. So we've got more room now. We've got 70 water. Oh right, I have to set them on automatic. Now that's the left trigger puts them on automatic mode, which means that they just, help themselves. You don't have to control them. That's very important. Oh, she's going to the toilet. Gross. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the parents out now that it's stopped raining. It doesn't matter if it is raining, but what are you going to do? So this is our area we've got to explore. Now this will be randomly generated. You don't really know what you're going to get every single time. So the mountain passes over here, this brown stuff, that's going to be the most difficult to traverse. Then you've got the wooded area. Once again, it will slow you down, but it won't stop you. It just simply slows you down. So we've got a big cluster of things over here. So these are buildings of some kind, either houses or office areas, airports, you know, just you name it. It's some kind of building, and therefore increases, you know, one specific item that you can get. So if you went to a scrap yard, you would find a lot of scrap metal and possibly some parts, and you know, same with a hardware store, you're most likely to find tools there and possibly some lumber. So we're going to send them there. They're going to have a little explore. Remember to equip everyone with a gas mask. This keeps them safe from the radiation. They also need a weapon, and unfortunately the only weapons we got are the metal pipes. We don't have any kind of bag. No, you can actually upgrade the inventory by creating backpacks. That's it. Sorry, I drew a complete blank there. Yes, backpacks. You can create them, and once you get the camper van up and running, that also holds the most inventory. So we're going to go ahead and then equip the other one to it. And they're going to head off now. Once again, leaving the girls behind. Now she's basically starving, so I'm going to take her off. What we really want to build now is a bed of some kind. And the only one we can build is... yes, the sleeping bag here. Now this is the least comfortable, which means it takes the longest for them to sort of regenerate the tiredness. So we obviously just received a radio signal from the first team we just sent out. So we're going to search the location. And then they're going to call back shortly, examine the items, what they found in this small house. We got a can of petrol, we got 3 cans of food, duct tape, hinge, another pipe, a valve, and cement. So you can get attacked in this game. Usually it's provoked, meaning that these people show up, they demand you give them 10 food. If you tell them no, eventually they will show up and attack. And then there's sometimes it will just handle randomly, but it is quite rare for just raiders to show up randomly. That's why you have to upgrade your doors here. As you can see, you can upgrade them to better lasting doors. That basically just increases the amount of time you have to prepare before they break in, because the way you prepare is you would build booby traps. You build a whole assortment of booby traps, from a laser guided, you know, rifle to just a can on a string. Basically Home Alone style. Broadcast for traders. Examine items. Ding, ding, ding. Now you'll notice these ones here, these plastic bottles, stuff like that, they can be recycled. That is the whole purpose. They have no use other than the fact that they can be recycled. But it takes a while to actually level up enough to even build a recycling device. And so basically it's just a waste of space. So I can't really give you a walkthrough on this game because it's randomly generated. So there's no real point. But all I can really do is give you tips. So this girl here is going to... See, she wants to get in now. Help, I'm being chased by something. We never know what this something is. We do know that there's mutants around. Of course, I've never run into them because this game is still new. It's still in development. If I recall, it's still an alpha. So I'm going to have to say no. I don't have the water. I don't have the food. I just don't have the resources necessary to take care of her. So I'm going to have to go with no. I'm sorry. Sometimes I can even be resentful and sabotage. Okay, she didn't, but sometimes they can be resentful and start breaking the oxygen filter with like a hammer or something. They'll just move on, then you just send someone up to go repair it. It's just a pain in the ass, that's all it really is. So we're going to go ahead and check out this inventory now. I'm going to show you what you can build. So this is the first tier. We have the snare trap to catch wildlife outside. However, in order to catch wildlife, you have to build a fridge. And we can't build that in the first stage. We have to upgrade the workbench, which requires a few more supplies. We can build this carrier bag so we can have 2 more inventory slots when they go out. Bandages, you don't really use bandages, to be honest, because first aid kits are just abundance in this game. Hiding spot, in case raiders break in, you can create these hiding spots and then hide people in them, because sometimes the raiders will just simply kill whoever's inside, first person they see. Paint can trap, obviously what I said before, it's a booby trap. Trip wire, which actually triggers the trap, so when you build a trap you have to build a trigger wire. Bedroll, you know, keeps them their stats increased by 25%, so they don't come back either really tired or really hungry or really thirsty. You know how it is. Rat trap for catching rats. This is the incinerator. Now this is a really handy item and you should create it early on in the game. Essentially, in order for the oxygen filters, the water filters, and the lights to work, you need a power source, which is the generator to the right. However, that requires fuel, and fuel is quite valuable in the game. So you get this little incinerator. Basically, whatever you throw into this incinerator becomes a new fuel source. Therefore, you can power everything, and then save your actual, you know, gasoline cans. Another little pantry, just increase the amount of canned food you can hold. Makeshift shower, toilet, another water bucket, grave. Now, sometimes your people will die, and the best thing to do is that if someone dies, right, all you have to do is sign out of your profile and then sign back in. It takes you back to the title screen and it takes you to the last day. That is how you actually do it. That is a tip. I don't know if they actually want you to know this, but that is how you can basically undo something you've done, and that way, that's how I do it. So essentially none of my people die because I can always recall them. I just have to remember who they are and tell them to come back before they die. That way they won't die. Also the fact that it's randomly generated, so they can just either have another go at it and probably do a little bit better next time. Okay, mop and bucket. Mop and bucket, boring. You know what that is. Gas mask, also very handy. Sleeping bag, cement, extra room, ladder, trap, and first aid kit. So that's just the first tier. Then we have the bigger pantry, bookshelf. The bookshelf increases their intelligence and lowers stress. Satchel, you know, carry more stuff. Toy box for the kids. Makeshift toilet, so just basically upgraded versions of each other. A better bed, which means they sleep off their tiredness a lot quicker with a bed, and then you can upgrade the bed as well. Boxing bag, they help them become stronger. A poor stove, so essentially they're just eating raw food out of the tins. Who knows how long it's been there, and you know, some tins require to be heated. So every now and then someone will get food poisoning, and there's no cure for food poisoning until later on in the game, when you have to makeshift, you know, food poisoning antidotes from flowers and stuff. Either way, a stove will sort of reduce the amount of people who get sick from food poisoning. Not by much, but some, until you can get a better one. So here's the first recycling plant. This one sucks, it's really slow. You got the prospecting kit, so they find more when they go out. Camouflage, so they don't basically encounter less people. And, you know, trap, and of course the fire extinguisher, because every now and then something will break down and catch on fire, and if you don't put it out, it sort of suffocates everyone. Basically there's not much else I really need to tell. You can just take a look here. You got bigger fridges, so you can actually store the food that you catch outside inside, because it needs to be in a fridge. Storage facilities, storage crates, you know. Coffee machine, they're really helpful as well. So that's basically it. This game is just really addictive. You end up playing it, you think maybe you've been playing it for like 25 minutes and an hour's gone by, something like that. It's just, you don't really realize just how caught up you are in this game. And, you know, I love this game, I really do. It does suck, however, I will say, because the game is not complete. There's no real storyline. There is some aspects of a storyline, but they haven't bloody finished it, and it sucks. There's also this thing called a hatch that we find, which looks like a shelter that you're living in, but no one knows the code to get in. And just about everyone has, I've been reading online, and people have like entered every known code available in order to get in there, and none of them work. It's, you know, some kind of expansion to the game that hasn't been developed yet. Some say that it's for online, you know, trading, things like that, but no one really knows just yet. I might get her to clean the shelter. Nope, the shelter's already clean. Hello, good sir. Huh, I don't really know what he said. Couldn't really read it in time. Guess I'll go back and check my footage and then pause it. If you can do that, press pause when that guy just walked by so I can actually figure out what he said. Write in the comments so other people can read it as well. So we're going to get into tools as well. Every now and then you'll find a tool. Basically, you can only have one of each time, but it keeps it permanently because it upgrades the workbench, and you can, you know, rebuild and repair things a lot faster with a full set of tools. Now, I could send the kids out. Of course, they can't hold anywhere near as much as the adults. They're not very strong, they're not very fast, and it's just a hazard putting them out. So what I would do is I would just basically put them in a hazmat suit so they can go outside whenever they want. And that way you don't really have to worry about it. Just sort of designate them to, you know, do all the handiwork around the shelter, because they're never really going to leave it. Search location. She's going to go to bed. Now, I've only got one bed and it's really shit, so it's going to take them a while to decrease that sleep level there. So this game has had a few different updates since I bought it last year. A lot more interaction with the, you know, people out in the field. New inventions, new, you know, reactions, just a few new things, but still the game is nowhere near complete. They still need to add at least one large update in order to complete it, to find out what the fuck is going on, because the game does not end. It just keeps going day after day after day. My longest one I had going was 266 days. Now I've known people to go for over 1,000 days, even thousands of days, but you know, the game just simply has not ended because they haven't added a ending to it. There is a part later on in the game, I'm guessing a certain amount of time has to go by in order for something to trigger. Essentially, there's this person out there claiming to know your relatives, and he does know your relatives, as it turns out. Basically, you'd have to provide him with like 100 water, 10 cans of fuel, and 25 cans of food, and then he'll tell them where they are. And essentially, it just takes you to another map. You never go back to this area again. You just start off in a new shelter, but apparently things are a bit harder. Now, I have done this a few different times now and then, but once again, the game just simply does not end. It's just the same game, but slightly harder. But overall, I really love this game. I think it's just really addictive. It's a really good chillax game. You know, sit back and play it. You know, unwind after a long day. Play it for half an hour. Get shit done. See, now I only have one bed, which means these two are basically going to fight over it. It does suck. But what else can I do? I'm going to have to upgrade the workbench. Now, let's see how far I am away from upgrading the workbench. So this is level 2. Oh, I can upgrade it now. Sweet. I'm going to get her to do it. This will allow me to craft a decent sized bed. Well, at least a comfortable bed. I realize now that I don't even have a shower. You may also have noticed I've named the people in this game after the games I've already played. So that's Rain, Fallout, Dead Space, Resident Evil, and the cat's name is... what was the cat's name? Evil Dead. I just thought that'd be kind of, you know, funny. And I'm right, as it turns out. Let's see if I can build a new bed. I might just, you know, break this bed apart. Yes, I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get her to deconstruct the bed. Basically, I can't deconstruct it while she's living in it, or she's staying in it. Damn. I guess I'm going to have to wait until she stops, essentially. I can get her out of bed by telling her to go do something, which I think I might tell her. Actually, I should build a... I need a shower. I need to build a shower. Here we go. Makeshift toilet. I guess this doesn't have a shower in the second tier, but it's got one in the first, so we're going to have to go with a makeshift shower. There we go. So they're going to use the shower. Now the shower, of course, uses water. Same with the toilet as well. It has to be washed out. So it uses one thing of water every time you use the toilet. And remember, there's 4 people who eventually need to use the toilet, and in the next few days. So that's 4, you know, bits going. And of course, they need to drink. Use the shower, and yeah. So it will eventually drain your water. So it's always good to have good reserves of it. So if they're dirty, essentially they will increase their chances of, you know, gaining a disease of some kind. Deconstruct. I got her to take it apart while no one was using it, and I'm going to get her to build a bed. Now the bed will significantly increase, you know, the way they actually sleep. Yeah, I know my batteries are slow. See, much faster compared to before. And then we can go into a luxury bed at the 4th tier, which of course makes them, you know, sleep a lot quicker. Get it all off. So these 2 are done. They're ready to go out again. So I'm just basically going to send them out, but not before I get one of them to create a couple of these space saver bags. Essentially, now they will be able to carry 4 more slots because they're carrying 2 each. Oh, they're carrying 1 each, and each one has 2 slots in it, so that's a total of 4. 4 spaces, or basically 1 extra row that now that they can carry. You and you. So they missed a couple of little bits here. What we're going to do is we're going to go through that town. We're going to go here. As you can see in the left, you see 34 out of 70, so it's going to take 34 bottles of water to send them there. Equipped with the bag. So the gas mask, they're only 1 use only, compared to just about everything else, which can be used as many times as you want. But the gas masks are 1 use only, so eventually you're going to have to start finding things to sort of make your own. Or even just find them. Now, a good place to find them is obviously caves, but every now and then you'll get lucky and find one in a house, or just about randomly anywhere. Just about, you can find just about anything in any other location. However, if you want something specific like wood or metal or plastic, something like that, or rubber, you have to go to like hardware stores. You basically have to think, where would you find them in real life, and then basically find them on the map and then send the person to there. Search location. Take a shower if you're dirty. Examine items. Yes, 1 fuel can, food, wires, and cement. We can build another chamber. So obviously expansion is a really important factor of this game. You have to build, you know, deeper and bigger in order to, you know, store everything. And fuel. No, I don't want to add fuel. I want to fix. Well, Dead Space is building the new expansion onto the shelter. I'm going to go ahead and get Resident Evil to craft this box. Now this will increase our storage space as well, so increase, let's see, we've got coffee beans. Now we don't have a coffee machine yet, and it'll be quite some time before we do, so there's no point getting the coffee bean. It's just going to be wasted space. And we don't have an incinerator yet. Single use made for lighting the incinerator. Essentially, if you don't have a cigarette lighter at all, you have to use matches, which means you can't light it every single time. But eventually you will find a cigarette lighter, and they're not that, you know, uncommon. They're really, well, common, really. Rain on surface, yeah. Choice location. So I recommend just about anyone gets this game. Obviously it's not the highest priority because it's not finished yet, but it's still really fun regardless of the fact that it's not finished. And I would recommend that just about anyone should play this game. It's just a really chillax game that you don't really have to put that much thought into. Just remember the fact that if you do something wrong, simply just sign out of your account. Sign out of your account. Then just simply sign back in, because it will take you back to the main screen, and the main screen will save it to the last point, the last day, because it saves every time at 6 o'clock. So we don't need the paint can yet. We don't need this switch yet. We don't need that yet. We don't really need... Actually, we'll get the matches because we've got to have the incinerator. So charcoal you throw into the incinerator because that burns the longest. And we do need plastic because plastic will help us in the creation of new gas masks. You can see in the background the city, what's left of the city just remains. I know for a fact that there's a lot of potential for this game. They obviously haven't, finished it, as I've said many times. But eventually they'll have to add in, these mutants or whatever the hell they're being chased by, because people have reported seeing mutants, people have been reported being chased by something, and we just haven't seen anything like that yet. Just raiders and the occasional wildlife, but that's about it. Oh yeah, there's also wildlife as well. Wolves, bears. I think that's about it, wolves and bears, but essentially that's it. The game isn't really that difficult until you get onto the second part, and then again the game is just really boring. But until that point, it's really just a really fun game. So we've come across this Mary chick here. They've come across her on the road. You can just let them handle it. However, that could increase the chances of them dying, because sometimes things can go wrong. Not often though, especially at the start of the game. She's probably just going to either ask us to see if she can join, or ask us to trade. See, we can even bully, or even just simply run away. Trade. She doesn't want to trade. Build. Can't build any more water buckets. Can't really build much of anything because I simply don't have anything. I'm going to build a stove though, because we need a stove at some point. And yeah, you can have it just about anywhere, but it's always good idea to keep the stove next to the food. Looks like a church in the distance. Should we check it out? Yes. Now, one of the things is, if you ever come across a shack, always hit the shack, because the shack is full of supplies, guns, ammo, medikits. Someone was obviously prepping, and those are the prepping hotspots. So if you see a shack, well, get in there. Alright YouTube, that's going to be the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I really love this game and recommend that you should get it at some point in the near future. Basically, keep it on your list for what you want. Even take a look online to find out when the next update's coming out and find out when it's going to be more interesting, because this game really is fun, but it just doesn't end. It just keeps going and going. So at one point you can just keep hitting the very end of the game where you can't upgrade anything. You've basically maxed out the storage facilities on here. You're basically OP to everyone in the wasteland, so then the game becomes boring because there's no storyline, there's nothing to do. But until that point, the game is really fun. I definitely get it. And yeah, catch you guys later. Like and subscribe to my channel, and write in what game you think I should play next.